yes.
Oh, that was way off.
That wasn't way off.
That was, dude. It was short.
It was short, but it was like on the money.
It was on.
Short.
It was online, but like 3 feet short.
Okay.
Here we go. We do need a trash can cam. Oh, it laid it up. Okay.
Oh yeah, we need like maybe a backboard.
Power project.
Bank shot. You got to call
You
it.
have
though.
to call it.
pretty
You
much-
have to call it.
Yeah, the fridge is pretty much that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, doink it off the element packets over there.
Mhm.
Doink it. Oh yeah, element packets.
Mm-hmm.
That's an eight pack sample pack right over there.
No,
Yeah, it is.
that's a lot of salt.
I know.
Yes, it is.
And did you know that you guys can get one right now for free?
Oh, really?
Absolutely free.
I think you're lying.
No, I'm not. Right now at drinklmnt.com/powerproject, you can get a free Element Electrolyte 8 flavor pack shipped for $5. So you do have to pay shipping, but you get all 8 flavors for absolutely free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that offer ends at the end of January. I don't think there's any stipulations or any kind of like prerequisites.
Wow.
You just have to go to that link, which is in the description on the video as well as the audio side. Check the description down below. Just hit that link and get your free Element electrolytes.
It goes well with World Carnivore Month because
Yeah.
when you're on a low carb diet, you need those electrolytes. And Nsima and I've talked about it a million times on the show before, but
Mhm.
it's worth mentioning if you're trying a keto style diet, low carb diet, and you're jumping in on this World Carnivore Month, make sure you get those electrolytes in because otherwise you're going to feel like crap.
It absolutely makes a difference in your performance because a lot of you guys are going to be lifting and not eating those carbs that you must like. It's going to make a little bit of difference in the way you feel, but when you have some element, you won't be cramping up. You'll have a good amount of energy. It's just so good. So yeah,
There you
get
go.
yourself some.
Yeah, and again, absolutely free. drinklmnt.com/powerproject. Again, you just pay $5 shipping, but you get to try all of their different flavors. And yeah, everything that we've been talking about, you get to experience.
Guys, where in the fuck is Bo Jackson?
He's right here. Just looking up.
He's on every show, but he's not.
Yeah,
You know,
dang.
we got his rookie card right here from the Raiders. Maybe if we were to bring his rookie card from the Kansas City Royals as well and put the two together,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he would magically appear.
Maybe that's the way it happens.
Yeah. I don't
He just
know, man.
walks through the door. Somebody called me.
We've been trying to get this guy on the show forever.
Yeah.
He keeps stiff arming us, giving us the old Heisman Trophy move.
Isn't that the absolute worst? I mean, I've never gotten, in like, tackle football, like in the front yard and stuff or whatever, I've gotten.
Now that you brought it up, you got to bring up a couple stiff arms.
I will.
Because
It's
that is
amazing.
the coolest thing. See, like Marshawn Lynch or something like that. Just somebody's trying to tackle him. It's another full-grown man, trying to do his thing, trying to bring the guy down.
It's
Yeah.
definitely
Just trying to wrap around his legs so he falls down, basically. Like doesn't seem that complicated. But then he just shoves your shoulder pads or shoves you by your head, and people just get destroyed.
Yeah, it's kind of like what's it called? Like the little brother thing, where you're just
Oh, yeah, you
holding
hold
their
their-
forehead.
Yeah, you hold their head and they're trying to get at you.
What is this? Come on.
It's an
I hate,
ad.
I hate when they honey dick you with the little clip. There we go.
No.
Oh.
He just got right back up to
Yeah, he shoved him right on his back. That's
Yeah, it's just-
Le'Veon Bell. He's a monster.
Savage.
Holy, oh man,
Dude.
he shoved him by his throat.
Yeah.
LT?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was probably one of the greatest of
Nice
all time
try.
at that.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Wow.
A lot of these guys, it's funny to say that they're not big because they're
Oh, like
210, 205 pounds and they're little blocks of muscle pretty much,
Yeah.
but they're not big compared.
Oh.
That hurt bad. Ooh.
Oh god. But that's such technique though.
Yeah, these dudes are strong too.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, my God.
And he was actually much bigger than him
Took
too.
his
Yeah, that
lunch
dude's
money too.
huge.
Oh man.
All right. So much for monetizing.
Anyway,
Monetizing this episode.
but where is Bo Jackson?
Still
Anybody know?
kicking everyone's ass in Tecmo Bowl.
We need to have him on the show. We've been talking about it a lot. We had a fan reach out and say, "Hey, I can communicate with him." And I've been able to communicate with him. I've been able to email him and stuff like that. And or at least I think I'm emailing Bo Jackson. Who knows? who I'm emailing.
Yeah.
But then my friend Martin, he runs that company Cameo, and he happens to know like all these celebrity people. He knows a lot of people, so I got in touch with him and I said, hey, what can you do with Bo? And he thinks he can get him. So there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Here
It's
we go.
that accent. He can get anything.
Yeah,
Dude, Martin's dope.
British accent.
Mm-hmm.
It makes everything just sound good.
Yeah.
Everything just sounds very right.
We need to get Martin on the show because I think it'd be great for people to hear his story about Cameo and like I don't know like how aware people are of the product, but it's an app and you can basically purchase somebody saying like happy birthday or giving you some sort of shout out or something like that. And there's many celebrity people on there, but then there's also some fitness type people like CT Fletcher and our boy Coach House sent me for Christmas this year. He sent me his kids got him this for Christmas. It was CT Fletcher giving Joe Ken a shout out. And he was talking about how big Coach House is and all this stuff and how he's a badass strength coach and everything like that. And it was really neat. And he thought it was the coolest thing ever because he's a CT Fletcher fan, just like the rest of us pretty much. Anyway, Cameo, my friend Martin told me about it years ago as he was creating the product. And I honestly didn't think it was that good of an idea. I was like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a little hit or miss. Like there's something cool about it and there's something a little weird about it. I don't know if you're going to get celebrity people that care to do something for a couple $100. Even if it's only 30 seconds and you give them $400, I just don't think they'll care. I was wrong. He's kicking ass with it. He's doing great. And they talk about it a lot on Howard Stern. And Howard Stern thinks it's a dumb idea. But Howard Stern talks about it so much that it gives it a lot of press. He's like, you think this thing's cool? And then they play like these people saying happy birthday and doing these shout outs. So they almost do like advertising for it in a way. But anyway, I think we can get Bo.
No, I think that too. But the great thing about, so when a lot of people see Cameo, and I don't know if Martin's going to hear this part of the episode, but like when you see that, you're like, why didn't I think of that? But because it
sounds so simple.
At the essence, it sounds so simple. But you were saying before the show, like he also is a great relationship builder. Like I don't know personally, but you have to have the skill of being able to contact all of these people or have relationships with people who have relationships with all these people to maybe try to build this platform and get it moving. Like
there's people that it's their job to keep people like us who want to have people on a podcast. It's their job to keep us away. And so you have to like go through agents and stuff. So Martin had to be, but Martin has navigated some stuff in the past where he's been part of Hollywood. And so he knows some of the game. It's a big game that you got to play. You got to be really kind to people, and you have to be like offering something to people. And so I think with some of these celebrities, he would get in front of these agents and he would say, hey, I know that you're a celebrity. Like, I know he's doing well. I know this guy's kicking ass or this girl's kicking ass. They're doing really well. And they don't need this kind of thing, but maybe they'll find it useful to do it for like a charity, and every, $400 will go to a charity or go to. So it's just a way you approach it, and it's having trying to develop a skill set around, being able to communicate with people the right way to get them convinced to do what you're trying to have them do,
Yeah, absolutely. But that what we were talking about before, what I was thinking about was like, especially now, a lot of people, again, are working from home. A lot of people are trying to figure out different jobs. But I think it's also, again, a really great time for, like you've mentioned in videos, people to really hone in on the things that they're really, really, really interested in, and try to maybe improve their skill at it. So at some point, that hobby or that skill can become something that brings them income of some sort. Initially, it might be really, really small, but in a few years, it could turn into something that brings them full-time income while they're doing their interests. So like it doesn't necessarily feel like really hard work. It might still feel like work, might still actually be work, but it doesn't feel like something you don't want to wake up and actually get going and doing. Because I think that's ideally what everybody wants. They want to be able to wake up every day and go and do something that they're kind of excited about, rather than waking up every day and they have to go to an office job that they don't like. Like I feel extremely blessed because I get to wake up every day, or on the days that we're scheduled to podcast, and we can come in and talk about things that we love doing: lifting, entrepreneurship, health. I love this shit, right? I'm very fortunate about that. But that's because I was lucky enough to be very interested in fitness for a long time, right? And coach for a while. And then this happened. But that's because I was doing it for a minute. So
there's a lot of sacrifices too that happen that you just don't even think about. And I've mentioned this before. You kind of sacrifice for the unknown. You don't know what the future holds. When you were messing around with bodybuilding and you were, going on those super low calorie diets and hitting the stage and trying to find your way, like you didn't know what any of it was for. You didn't know it would lead to. And the word sacrifice is a pretty big word, but we're using it we're using it in a sense of chasing down things that we like to do. So there's people that make much bigger sacrifices than what we're talking about, but I don't know another word to really implement there. So you're kind of sacrificing for the future. You're it's like an investment. But I think at the time you thought like maybe you just thought like, this is what I'm going to do to be cool. This is what I'm going to do to like fit in. I'm going to find my piece of the pie like over here. And this is going to be something that I can be good at. And this is something I can be recognized for. Because in the end, I mean, isn't that all we're looking for, right? Is like a little pat on the back, a little bit of recognition. We all want to be, nobody wants to be insignificant, So you hope that somebody recognizes, hey man, you look great. You're shredded, somebody does that, or you compete against somebody and you got in better shape than they did and you're able to start to meet some of your goals. That's all you're really trying to do. I think that finding something that you can monetize that's along that path is your best route to success. I think sometimes people think of monetization in some of the wrong ways. Like, I think that they always think that it has to be like a dollar per dollar trade or time for money. I'm going to monetize my YouTube channel. You can give away free information and your YouTube channel can still be monetized without you ever having any ads on there ever. And the way that it would be monetized is if you shared ideas about jiu-jitsu, you shared ideas about how to build a car, you shared these ideas. Well, your YouTube channel can still be quote unquote free of advertising, although you could use Google ads and you could do it that way. You could also sell a book online and you say, hey, anyone interested? I have a PDF that's, 400 pages of how to, build how to build the most powerful engine for your muscle car or whatever the hell it is. Right.
Yeah.
And whatever the hell it is that you're into. And so I think a lot of times people think monetize and they don't always know, because we don't even really know what this show does monetarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason why we have ad dollars attached to it, was so that it's easier for me as an employer to say, okay, well, I know for a fact that it's at least doing this, and I can allocate that money towards other things for the podcast to continue to grow. Otherwise, I don't really know, but I do know that it works. I know that people that listen to the Power Project are also fans of a lot of the products, and that they all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's cool that we're talking about this because we just had Jeff on the show the other day.
Jeff Lerner.
Oddly enough, I really like that guy's last name. It fits him well.
It really does.
I mean, it really fits him well, especially with everything that he's doing right now and the way that he learns. But going back to like the things he was talking about, he mentioned that the knowledge business is something that a lot of people should be thinking of getting into, and it's very simple. The knowledge business is if you are somewhat of a material expert on something, well, figure out a way to share that information out with people, right? So if you're really good at crocheting scarves, right? You could make a YouTube channel, or you could like go on one of these websites that helps you build a course, and you could make a step-by-step course on making your first something designed scarf. Like you could legitimately do that. And then from there, maybe you just need to figure out how to get it out to people that like doing that. So maybe you learn some Facebook ads or whatever, but that could make you initially maybe a $50 a month, but then 100, and then something. And then you start crocheting other wild shit.
Just imagine if you made like $6,000 or $7,000 more in a year or even 2 years than you did before. I mean, it's like, I don't know what people are looking for in terms of success, but if you're investing some time in something that you already enjoy doing, and it just happens to maybe cost you a little extra time, because I hear people say this all the time about weight loss too. Like, I've been on the carnivore diet, I only lost 6 pounds. I'm like, 6 pounds in like 15 days? I'm like, that's miraculous, first of all. Secondly, I'm going to punch you upside your head. But people do the same thing with money. They start something and they're like, yeah, it's only made like a few $1,000. And you're like, a few $1,000? That's a fucking lot of money. A few $1,000, it's awesome. And if you dump your life savings into something and you put in millions of dollars and it's only making a couple $1,000 and it's on year 7, then maybe we're running into some trouble. But if it's kind of a hobby that you kicked off and you started making product for people, you started making something or producing something, and it's already generating a little bit of money, you're on your way, man.
Absolutely. No, but that's how things go. I think that's one thing. When you start doing something to try to make some money, you expect that thing's going to blow up really quickly. And when it doesn't, you're like, oh, this doesn't work. But with a lot of people, some people are fortunate enough that they put something out there potentially, and that thing just like hits fire. And it's just, that's amazing. Most people, that's not the case. Most people, they've been trying things beforehand, and then you see when something hits fire. But I think a majority of people do something for a long time, and they just dredge and dredge and dredge. And then it's just this slow build until it's built up enough momentum that, boom, it sparks, and maybe it does build a little bit faster. But one thing I think is really important in all of this is, let's say that you're listening, you're like, oh, this sounds so awesome. But hey, I'm not really an expert in anything. Like I'm not a material expert or the best, or I like certain things, but I don't think I can really do much with them. Well, then what is something that you've maybe wanted to become really good at? What is something that you've really wanted to learn? And maybe right now isn't the time where you're going to monetize that thing. But I think one thing that a lot of people can do is kind of show the journey of you getting really good at something. I think that's something that I really like seeing from people. Like with really successful individuals, I'm more so curious on what the hell were you doing 10 years ago? Like, what were you doing 12 years ago when you weren't good at this? How was your progression to what you're doing now? Because I think that's one reason why people love Christian Guzman so much. Because they saw him when he was 15 years old on YouTube, and he was just working out, didn't have a gym.
Yeah, it's like endearing in a way. You saw the whole process, and it's he came from like humble beginnings. He was skinny, and people's like voice kind of gets different and everything, like as they get older and as they mature, and even like Nick Wright is that way. You saw him early on, he's just like baby. I mean, he still kind of has baby face, but just like a baby faced kid, trying to get jacked, and that kind of that grassroots feel. And look at Pete Rubish is a great example of that too. Lifting in his parents' basement next to the washer and dryer, and like some of these things become iconic. And I couldn't agree with you more. Is you don't need to be great, and if you're not great, that actually is like, that's your calling card. Like that's the thing that you mention all the time. Hey, I'm not a expert in cooking. Like, I don't even measure anything. I take this out, I do that, and I put this on there, and it tastes awesome. And then I gave it to my friends, and they fucking dug it too. And I'm actually kind of dumb. Like I sucked in math, I sucked in this, I sucked in that. That could be like a thing that you kind of reference because somebody else watching is like, man, I can't figure out anything either. I feel like a failure. I feel stupid sometimes when I read a recipe book or whatever. There's going to be somebody else who totally relates to that. They're like, I don't know what half this stuff means. I don't know, how to smoke meat properly or whatever it is. I just go and I do it. There's a lot of people that are like that. And if you have that side of you, I think, don't be shy about it and try to figure out a way to share it. The one place where you can get really tied up in a lot of this stuff is if you personally don't have the personality to kind of step forward and to shoot one of these videos or to be part of it. That's where you can kind of run into trouble, but you can still pick something that fits your personality, you know? So like Jeff Lerner, I mean, he was a great speaker when he was on our show. But he didn't pick something that he had to outwardly go and speak about. He picked something that he could develop more of a skill set with writing and shine that way. So you might have to think, man, like anyone hears me talk and my ship is going to be sunk because I'm not strong enough or I'm not there yet. That's okay. All that stuff's fine. You might have to just do something different rather than having like a cooking show or a YouTube video or whatever it might be. Maybe you have a book, right? Maybe you have a cookbook. Maybe you use somebody else as a model for it, but maybe you have good concepts and good ideas for it.
You know, the fact that you mentioned that, yeah, a lot of people think, oh, I have to be some type of person behind the camera. No, it's funny. There are so many YouTube channels, and you've probably seen a few of these, that there's somebody talking, and then there's just this animated image that moves its head around in like two different poses.
Yeah, those are amazing.
The whole video, right? And the funny thing is, like, the people that make those videos, they're not the ones doing the animation. They probably go to like Fiverr or something, one of those websites, and they hire somebody who they pay $10 to $15. Literally, they pay $10, and they're like, "I'll make you an animation or 2 different animations for your YouTube video," and you legit pay like $15 for it. And then all you have to do is do a voiceover of that. And so many people have like gotten their channels to like millions of subs without ever showing their face and using the same damn animation over and over and over again. But the people were listening to the content and were visually engaged to that animation, right? You don't have to be behind the camera.
Right. A voiceover might be like another option, you know. Maybe you don't want to be on camera, but maybe you feel gifted enough to at least speak on the topic and you can talk. There's a guy who has a YouTube channel called something Vault, Lifting Vault, maybe. Have you guys seen it?
No.
The guy showcases the strongest people in the world, and he's been doing an amazing job with it. He has an accent. I don't know what country he's from. But something like that is a great example. All he's doing is taking other people's footage. I'm surprised you must have seen this.
Oh, okay. I think I've seen some.
What's it called? Is it called Lifting Vault?
I searched that on YouTube and this popped up.
Yep, that's it.
So
that's it. I think he's got everybody that's listening right now. Go subscribe to this guy's shit. This guy has the best videos because he's analyzing a lot of people that are he's analyzing some of the strongest people from around the world. He's picking like, look at this kid, this like freak kid, like picking up like 8 plates, and the plates just went all over the place.
Jeez.
Whoever this guy is, he's obsessed with lifting. Is my point.
Yeah.
He's completely obsessed with lifting, and in particular, is obsessed with the deadlift. He's got videos of like Kaylor Woolham and some of these other badass lifters on there.
Wow.
I
And
think that's the same kid from the first shot too.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, you'll be obsessed with the channel, but he has powerlifting has been really hard to keep up with in the last couple of years. There used to be powerliftingwatch.com that a lot of people would watch, but there's more and more people just sumo deadlifting just astronomical amounts of weight, and people just lifting astronomical amounts of weight where you can't even keep up anymore. The all-time world record for total has been broken a few times, and like no one's even really paying attention. But this guy does a great job of showcasing that. Like, you know, what's something that you're interested in that you could figure out a way to showcase? Because this guy is just he's not going and filming these people. He doesn't have, this guy might not even own a camera. I mean, I'm sure he does, but he might not even own a camera. Like, this is all just stuff that he pulls off the internet, and he finds it interesting because every once in a while there'll be like a 16-year-old kid that deadlifts like 500 pounds and the kid weighs 140.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, check this out. And he'll go tell people, he'll say, hey, go subscribe to this guy's channel because this kid's a badass and he's going to be super strong, you know, things like that.
So literally he's just a content curator because he's taking content.
I'm sure he has a skill.
Commentator.
I'm sure he's got a little skill in editing. You know, he figured out something, but he probably YouTubed that too.
Yeah. So, and that's the amazing thing about it. Like your interest could be so abstract, but there's probably somebody already doing something like kind of in that vein, or you can literally figure out something within that vein to talk about. Because, man, there are people that have YouTube channels that are just talking about the most weird shit, but there is a niche for that weird stuff, and they're killing it. So I really think that, like, you know, more so than saying, "Oh God, I don't know what I can do," blah blah blah. It would be more so beneficial to write down all those things that you're really freaking interested, and then just get to researching. Because I think that first part of researching what you can do, or maybe researching the different ways that you can put something out there, I think that's the first step that a majority of people don't take, and they're still stuck in the realm of, God, I have so many things, but I can't do it.
Yeah. And then I think people also get discouraged just in talking about like how long it can take. And it's like, man, how many subscribers do I need before I actually make some money? But if you look at it like how you said, it doesn't really transfer over dollar for dollar or whatever hour rate. If you have a YouTube channel and you still have your 8 to 5, but you're on your lunch break and you're like, dude, I can't wait to record this video. It gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, you get pretty fired up, and because it's something that you're already into anyways. So all you get to do is just talk more about what you like. It's a really cool feeling, like it gives you something like to hang your hat on every day. Like, yeah, I do work at this job, but no, like, you don't understand. Like, I actually do a lot of cool YouTube videos.
A lot of times people are like, maybe just because maybe of what we've heard, when you hear that 2,000 people watched your video, you're looking at it like, why did only 2,000 people watch this video? 2,000 people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
Think about, having 2,000 people inside of a building. Think about when like malls were open and you went to the mall, like how many people are in the mall in the afternoon? Like there's probably about 1,000 people in there, including the employees. On a busy day, there might be 5,000 or something like that in the entire place. And the place is, nearly a half mile long or whatever it is, right? So to have 2,000, imagine, your high school gym being packed with 2,000 people. Like, might not even fit in there. Like, that's kind of a shit ton of people. This happens to us a lot with weights. When we're lifting weights, we're thinking like, oh man, 200 pounds, like 200 pounds ain't that heavy. Oh, it kind of depends on what you're talking about. You ever pick up a 200-pound dumbbell? That thing's a monster. What about 400 pounds? 400 pounds doesn't sound that bad. Hey, Nsima, let's go in the gym and let's deadlift 400 pounds. You'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what if you walk in, there's two 200-pound dumbbells sitting there and they both have fat handles on them. Like, oh, this is what we're picking up today. You're like, wait a second, what? Like, I need to like really warm up, and I don't even know if I can do that without getting hurt.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it's just the perspective that you have on it, but there's so much opportunity. You think about email marketing, for example. Some people might say, I'm just going to make up a number because I don't even know half the stuff that I probably should know. But like, let's just say you email 1,000. Let's say you email 100 people, and one person actually purchases something, right? You can look at that and have a defeated mindset and say, I only have 200 people on my email list. So each time I fired out an email, I'm only going to get 2 people to purchase things. So I probably shouldn't even bother with this newsletter thing that I want to start. Kind of seems like a waste of time. I've been at it for a few weeks and it just seems kind of stupid at this point. I'm really wasting a lot of time. Well, you can look at it that way, or you can say, hey, you know what? I wonder how good I am at writing. Like, am I any good at writing? Like, is this intriguing at all? Because like, what if that, 1% that I'm hitting every time, what if I can get 20%? Then I don't need more subscribers. And what if I got 20%, I provided good value, and those people that were on the email list were like, hey man, did you check out this site? This guy's a really amazing information to give away for free, but they also sell a couple products and stuff. And you'd be like, oh yeah, sign up for that. And next thing you know, you have more people. But a lot of it's about a skill set. Andrew, where have you gone before to develop skill set for any sort of podcast type stuff, any sort of videography or photography? I know you mentioned Creative Live in the past. Creative Live is very organized, and I've never seen Skillshare or any of those other things, but I would imagine those things are similar. It's very, very professional. Have you found sometimes that some of the unprofessional or unpolished people were sometimes easier to learn from because they're like, hey man, I just grabbed this and this and I threw this together and this came out excellent?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Like I've never really paid for like a super like complex like course on podcasting or even with photography. But I was actually talking to Josh, kind of showing him a couple of things with our setup, and he was like, "Oh, this reminds me actually of some of the setup that we had at my church." And I'm like, oddly enough, I've learned more stuff about podcasting from watching church videos than I have any other types of video.
Watching church videos?
Yeah, because
Churches kill it, man. They are like so professional with a lot of the stuff that they do, trying to get their message out.
The way that this one guy explained how to use a compressor was better than anything I've ever heard. And that was just because he's trying to monitor the audio levels of the speakers. Like, I don't know official names, but they're talking loud and they're talking quiet. He's like, I have to make sure they're balanced so everyone in the church can hear. And I'm like, yeah, I got Mark, who's pretty chill, and then I have Nsima that will be quiet, and then he'll start laughing. So I have to try to bring those down. So it was just very
laughing,
just no yelling into the microphone. But so like that was like something I didn't expect, but it was just like, oh, let me see what this video is, and then I'm like, whoa, like as far as like live audio production, yeah, those church videos were crushing it compared to like, I don't know, like there's a couple guys that are like not leaders, but like when you type in anything podcast related stuff on YouTube, like the SEO and all that, we'll point to a couple guys and they're fine, but they don't have like full on live experience the way like some of these church producers do. And so I learned from them, and I'm just like, damn, this is cool. Yeah. Didn't expect that.
And those people might just have a different understanding sometimes. When someone can explain something in a way that a child could understand, they really, I think it's like an Einstein quote, they really truly know their material. Like they know the material like above and beyond because a lot of times somebody's just they're just repeating something. Like if you explained a couple things to me about your camera, and then Nsima asked me in the same day, I would be like, well, I think it works, and I'd just try to regurgitate kind of what you said. I didn't really know, and I gave him all the wrong information because he needed a different lens for shooting whatever he was about to shoot. So I think trying to find some unconventional people, like this is something I've said about lifting before. But you can take this and apply this because there's so many people talking now. There's so many, quote unquote, like leaders or influencers and so forth. When I was lifting, I would watch someone lift and I was like, okay, that's how you do a deadlift. And then I would take a step back and I would look at it again. And I'd say, okay, wait a second. That guy, I'm watching Andy Bolton, like one of the greatest deadlifters of all time. Okay, Andy Bolton is, he's like 6'3", and all of his body weight is like in his stomach. Like, and even though I was big at the time, I'm like, I'm not really built like him. Why don't I watch people that I'm more built like? Why don't I watch people that are more relatable to me? And then I would watch someone bench and I was like, oh, okay, this is the way to bench. Watch Dave Hoff bench or some of these guys. They have a great arch. Eric Spoto, they have a great arch. They're crazy. They have crazy thickness. They have short range of motion, right? And I'm like, literally nothing that they do, not nothing that they do, that's kind of foolish, but hardly anything that they do applies to me at all. Because my range of motion goes on forever when I'm bench pressing, it seems like. And I'm flat backed, and so I had to develop my strength a different way, and I had to watch other people. I remember watching Constantine Konstantinov, greatest name of all time. I remember watching him and seeing just how strong he was, and he was 6'1" or 6'2", and he had a really long way to go on the bench, and he benched mid-fives, and I was like, no one has an excuse on, everyone's always talking about their arms being long. I'm like, this guy's got some really long-ass arms, and he just made himself stronger. And so that's what I worked on. But find someone that's relatable to you, like just someone that maybe talks similar to you, or they're not using such big words that you have to look everything up all the time and be thoroughly confused. Try to find people that you can relate to as much as possible.
And on that note, I think what's really cool about that is I think that should make you think that there is an opportunity with whatever it is that you're doing to be that individual that is relatable to a certain group of people. Because, I've watched so many videos on different things on YouTube, but there are when I watch a certain individual's video, I'm like, oh, that clicks. That makes a lot of sense. I really get what they're saying there. I've watched so many other people explain this concept, but the way that they were talking about it and the way that they explained it makes so much sense to me. Let me dig down the rabbit hole of what they create. And maybe not as many people like the way they explain things, but I do. And if I like that, there's probably a few 10,000 other people that probably will also come across this and click with the way that this individual explains it. Like, there's so many ways to explain one certain thing. But you could be the individual that, for some reason, it clicks for a certain group of people. So that just shows that there's opportunity, because like there are so many different videos in terms of fitness or in terms of all these different types of ideas on YouTube that it can be easy to be like, well, somebody's already made a video about that. Somebody's already made a video on how to deadlift. Somebody's already made a video on how to take slack out of the bar. But maybe your explanation has one little thing that will help somebody or will help a few hundred people. And that's a good thing. So that should give you reason to put your own voice out there and put your own twist on things.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to add to that is there's a lot of people, like I don't know what YouTube's traffic is, but if a video has 6 million, views or whatever, there's infinite amount of people still going to be going to YouTube and they'll probably see your video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if it's 100 people, that's still 100 people that might really, really freaking dig it.
Mm-hmm. Everybody at the time when this guy was lifting tried to deadlift like this guy, this kind of cannonball deadlift. He like balls himself up at the bottom, but he unfortunately he died a couple years ago. I don't know what he died of exactly, but he has in my opinion the greatest deadlift that I've ever seen. I didn't see it in person. I just saw a video of it, but there's some really intense music playing, and he does an opening attempt. And the opening attempt, from what I remember, moved pretty good. And he does another attempt, and it moves pretty slow. And he does a third attempt, and he nearly dies about 17 times during the lift. And he still makes it. And it was just like, I don't know, just one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Constantine Konstantinov was a big motivator for our boy Stan the Rhino Efforting.
That makes sense.
These guys, I mean,
yeah,
they look like they're related in some way. Shout out to our boy Stan. So sorry to hear the news about his mom passing just a few days ago. Really, really brutal thing. I think she was in pain. I think she was sick. So hopefully the family can come together and get through that okay. But yeah, everybody was watching this guy back in the day. Look at this. He's got chains around his neck and shit, and he's deadlifting. He's a freaking lunatic.
Wow. What was his best deadlift ever?
I know he did like 930, 937 or something in that range.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he's doing like a almost like a belt squat type of thing. He has this like giant, almost like kettlebell type of deal, and then he's got chains around his neck as he's like trying to squat the weight up.
Oof. That little side to side movement as he's coming up on the chains, like that is, woof. Yeah.
There's so many different ways that you can be somebody that people go to as a resource. Like, look at how different Jeff Nippard's content is than my content. Like I'm not going to bring up like a bunch of research papers and highlight. I mean, I don't even know how that guy baffles me. Like his content is that looks fucking crazy. He looks like
I'm laughing over here because look at that.
Yeah, that is nuts. But some people that's his skill set. That's Jeff Nippard's skill set is that he'll go in, he'll do a deep dive, he'll research it. Omar Isuf, that's somebody that has a different skill set. He likes to have it be maybe more fun and maybe more entertaining. Each person has their own kind of thing and their own way of motivating people. You mentioned Christian Guzman earlier. Look at someone like DLB. DLB is a great example of somebody who has kind of just led by example. She's like, I'm just going to get in really good shape, and then everything else will kind of. I mean, I don't even think she had any plans of anything happening, but she turned into one of the most famous people in the industry. So if you're somebody again that doesn't feel like you got much to say outwardly, you might have to build yourself up for a really long time and just be fucking awesome. When I think about MMA and I think about years ago, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, and those two were rivals. and Ortiz was always trying to like get the limelight, and he was always trying to make a lot of money. But Chuck Liddell made a lot of money just by kicking people's ass. You know, he just had a great skill set. He was just really, really good at what he does. So if you keep working towards your goal and you still feel unsure, you feel weak in these other areas, as long as you build up strength in that one thing, you will one day be strong enough to say, you know what, I can do that.
I think that, so some people are going to be like, oh, duh. But like Larry Wheels is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, like, you know, you see Larry come up and he's lifting, but for the longest time, the dude was just like lifting and putting up lifts, and that was it.
He was very self-conscious. I remember I had him on the podcast with his coach. He didn't even really want to be on the podcast. And he, at that time, he didn't even like the sound of his own voice.
He's like, it has an amazing voice.
I know. He's like,
I'm Larry.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I'm like, you have the voice that everyone's like,
you have the
hoping
voice of
that
God.
Yeah, you have the voice that you hope that everyone's hoping. And he's like, oh, I'm kind of goofy and awkward. And I was like, I think people are going to find you fascinating. He's like, my story is kind of boring. He's like, I didn't really go to school and I just played a lot of video games. I'm like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like, we need to talk about that.
Exactly.
You played a lot of video games. You got that jacked. I was like, damn, imagine this guy, you know, experienced high school the way a lot of other people do. And imagine if he played a sport.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. Larry Wheels in football? Larry Wheels in whatever sport he chose? Soccer?
He's like 6'2", right? And he's, I don't know what he weighs right now, but he's
like 280.
Oh, is he that big right now?
270, 280, yeah.
He's huge.
Yeah, he's fucking massive, man.
And he's just, I think it's fair to say, yeah, it's fair to say, no one's ever, I don't think anyone's ever seen strength like that before.
No.
I think it's fair to say, you know, like there's been a lot of mutants around, but a lot of the mutants, they've been working on their trade like their entire life. This kid, not that he didn't work hard, he certainly put in a lot of work, but this kid like would bounce around between like some bodybuilding, some powerlifting, some strongman.
Mm-hmm.
He'd go and train like with Hafthor Bjornsson and like move these stones and rocks and shit where you're like, that's just not, I mean, because he's undersized for how big he is in comparison to how big these strongman guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be mentioned in the top 5 of some of the strongest people that ever lived, which is crazy because he's probably not even 30 years old.
No, not close. He's younger than me. He's like 26 or 25.
Yeah, his story like never even got fully like started or developed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
only like part of it going on, you know.
It's insane. That's why people are like, "Why the fuck are you going to mention Larry? We can't, like, he's a mutant." But I mean, the reason why I mentioned him is because again, it's like now he's making all this content where he's really like vibrant behind camera. He has a great camera personality. He's making content on arm wrestling, but like that was a build to.
He sells his own products.
He sells his own products. He does all of that. But again, it was a build towards that. And his first thing was, I just want to get really strong and lift a lot of weight. I just want to improve at this. So maybe instead of again trying to get good at everything, trying to get good at being behind the camera and talking and getting strong and doing this and that, try to get good at that one core thing. And then spread yourself, you know, learn those other skills as time goes by.
Our boy that we talk about all the time here on the show, shout out to our boy Josh Settlegate.
Oh, yeah.
I told Josh probably maybe like a year ago, I said, you should write a book. And he's like, about what? I was like, about what you're doing right now. Like, just, and he was like, oh, he's like, you think so? And I was like, well, yeah, because you're in the middle of like a journey. It appears that you're going to be really successful in whatever the hell it is that you end up pouring yourself into later on in life. And I said, you should keep track of some of that stuff now so that you have like document.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if like Tim Ferriss or some of these people had documentation like before he wrote 4 Hour Work Week, or, you know, if he had something kind of like leading up to that, and you can kind of see that growth, that maturation, you could see it happen before your eyes. You'd be like, damn, this is so sick to like learn how, like, you're not learning the perspective of somebody who's telling you how they think they did it. They're literally got it mapped out of like, this is how I did it because I wrote it down when it was happening.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. People like to see what's that phrase? How the what is cooked? There's a phrase.
How the sausage is made.
How the sausage is made. There we go.
He didn't want that coming out of his mouth.
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that before?
No, I don't.
No, that's the thing. People like to see how the sausage is.
He still can't bring himself to
I'll
say
show
it.
How do
you
they
that
say
sausage is made.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah, why is that a thing?
but
Andrew
I like-
trying to act all shy over there, like
I
he's
like-
never heard it.
I
Come
like
on, bro.
Googling stuff like that. Like when Jeff was talking about the redheaded stepchild,
yeah.
it's a very dark explanation.
Oh, please explain.
Well, I'll look it up again. But
What's that? The Urban Dictionary. Did it have one of those in there?
no, I just Googled it and I always just take like whatever it gives me right off the bat.
Yeah.
But it was just saying like, I'm not going to remember, but it was bad.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'm very curious. But yeah, like I still have those old videos.
What is it? The sausage is, what is
People
How
like
the-
to see
how
how
the-
this.
Sausage is made.
Uh,
How do you make your sausage?
yeah. But seriously, with anything, like, you know, when I started jujitsu, I mean, yeah, I was fit, but I was really, really bad. And I still took videos of that. And I wanted to do that because I like initially when I started, and even right now, but I knew that I had a lot of interest in it. I knew that I found it amazing. I found it super engaging. I wanted to do something with it, but I was like, I still suck. So let me just record all this and let people see how much I suck. But now, like, I don't suck. I'm not amazing, but I don't suck, right? And it's like people were able to see the years it took to get there, and I think that's a very important thing. Because, like, you know, you look at a lot of these world champion guys.
Andrew's making faces over there.
What do you mean?
Well, because I searched one and then I had to search it
Oh.
again, but it dates back to 1869.
Oh, let's hear
So
it.
the origin of quote how sausage gets made, some big blah 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 laws are like sausages. It's better not to see them being made is where it came from.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense because there is some mystery meat in a lot of sausage.
Yeah, it's can be
Mystery
kind of
meat
gross, right?
Can be kind of gross.
Yeah, that's basically what it's saying. It's saying just don't get caught up in how things are made and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not waste time discussing unpleasant details related to the process.
Fair enough.
There it is.
But yeah, like we were saying yesterday in Jeff Lerner's podcast, the one we did with him, don't create barriers for yourself, because like even if that thing that you want to do is so abstract or so different or it's like so out of left field, there can be something that can be created with it. There are some weird channels out there on YouTube, man, that are just they make their cash off of the weirdest ideas and the weirdest topics. But someone just had that idea, just like Cameo. He had the idea, let me get celebrities to say happy birthday to people and they'll pay money, and that's what's happening.
There's people who want more information on how to sleep better. There's people that want more information on how to read faster. People that want more information on how to learn more. There's people that want information on the solar system. There's people that want information on cars. I mean, the information, you know, this selling of knowledge is a great route to go. And it doesn't, and again, as we pointed out earlier in the show, it doesn't have to be a sale necessarily. Maybe it's just sharing, and then maybe you have something to sell later on or some other point.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on you know what you want to get into and how deep you want to get into it, and if you want to create a product around it. But it makes sense to create products around these things, and most people do. Like even like someone like a Larry Wheels, who was more on the athletic side of things with his head down.
Mm-hmm.
He saw a good opportunity. I don't know if someone came to him or it was his idea, but he decided to make products. And I'm sure that he has a huge Instagram following. He's got a huge following in general, and he's probably been able to have multiple revenue streams. I think everyone's capable of that to some of some of that. You know, maybe not getting as popular or strong as he has, but everyone is capable of just thinking and having many different revenue streams.
Yeah, is it a hindrance if you're just never going to be as strong as Larry Wheels? Like somebody's thinking like, well, yeah, I do love lifting. I like what Larry's putting together, but I'm not as strong as him, so there's no way.
You look at like someone like Larry's coach,
Gaglione.
John Gaglione, right? You look at someone like that. That's a guy who was very heavy a couple of years ago. Now he's done like a bodybuilding show.
Jacked.
My point is like, no, you don't have to be as strong You don't have like I'm not anywhere. I was never as strong as Larry Wheels, and I never would be. Like that would be cool if I was. I would love to have that superpower. I moved around some weight in my day, but I got to tip my hat and just say he's strong. He's the stronger man. And I haven't had any problems creating opportunities for myself in strength sports and in business and things like that. And so, but you don't need to get to my level either. You know, you can be a coach. There's like, look at someone like Jesse Burdick. You know, Jesse hasn't lifted some of the weights that I lifted. But he has to turn away clients a lot of times. He's got too much going on. He's working with professional baseball players and he's working with all different kinds of people because he decided for himself his best route was going to be to dive into more. Like if I have training questions, that's who I usually call. I usually call someone like him or Stan, you know, someone that's like really diving in and researching it. Stan is another kind of like crazy high level athlete in many different ways. And Jesse was too. Jesse was a high level baseball player. But the whole point here, I think, of what we're trying to describe is that you want to try to go vertical with your knowledge base. And if you have a good knowledge base over a period of time, you can probably share that. Once you start sharing that out, you'll probably recognize there's people that are like-minded to you that are interested in the information, and you can probably have an opportunity to make some money off of that, which would be great because it's already something you're interested in. And then how good are you going to be at making money in that domain that you're already interested in? It's probably going to be pretty killer because what you do in comparison to checking into your 9-to-5 job that you really don't care, you're just kind of skating along and you're just kind of hoping that you're under the radar enough to no one really notices you either way for doing anything great or for doing anything bad. Somebody notices that you do something great, then you have to do it all the time. And so you kind of just like, I just want to chill, get my vacation time, hit a bonus here and there, but just want to kind of lay low.
Yeah. I think one thing there is, you know, there is the idea, I think a lot of people, even myself, it's like, you know, when you do something, you do want to try to be the best, right? And I think even if you don't end up being the best in that realm, the attempt and the journey to trying to be the best will get you very good. Like you can get very proficient, very advanced, even if you're not the best at the world at that. And at that point, you are at a point where you can share that with people. Even though you're not the absolute best, you can absolutely share that with people that are starting that journey, people that relate to you on that journey, that have seen what you've done. You can absolutely start doing that and start sharing that with people. And you should.
And waiting till you're perfect can be paralyzing. So
yes,
that's more than likely not going to happen. And I've seen this, a lot of people that say they're like a perfectionist. I've noticed this trait in many people that say they're a perfectionist. I'm like, that's similar to the other person that said they're a perfectionist. And that's similar to the other person that said they're a perfectionist. It's very hard for them to get started. It's very hard for them just to flat out start because they want things to be like immaculate. They want things to be flawless. And the only way to do jiu-jitsu at the level that Nsima is doing it is to go through all those mistakes that he made early on. And when you look back at them now, they're like completely embarrassing to you. Probably you're probably like, I mean, you're like, what was I doing? Like, why was I panicking in that position? Like that position's so easy to get out of her. All I had to do is like grab the guy's left wrist and I was out. And what was I doing? I tapped out. Like, it's like appalling to you. Like, this is disgusting that I sucked that bad, but
yeah,
you need that. And so if you were waiting to be perfect to get into that, you would have never been able to do it.
The exact thing that I thought about when you said that was the video from the first Worlds where I was just doing this fucking standing thing. Was this guy, and it just looks so stupid. Like I look at it, I'm just like, fuck, can I just take this down? Like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I don't want to watch it, but it's there and it looks ridiculous. And it's so cringy. It's so fucking cringy. But like, yeah, no, that needed to happen. Like that I needed to go through that so I could develop something else. And it was, I'm happy that happened.
Have you utilized Skillshare or anything like that? I know that you, Nsima, I know that you read quite a few books and things like that. Have you utilized maybe anything other than like YouTube to
I did use Skillshare to just learn some camera stuff once, because there's some stuff I was trying to figure out with my cameras, and it was useful. Like that's the thing. Like first off, Skillshare is fairly inexpensive, but there is so many courses. Like it's the thing about that is like you look at so much, and if there's a specific thing you're interested in, awesome. But if you just want to learn stuff, there's like so much to learn. So that's it's an amazing resource if you're trying to get good at something. You know, the crazy thing about this is like, I have a friend or someone I used to know, her name's Diana, and a few years ago, she just like picked up a camera and started taking pictures for fun. And then over time, like a few friends wanted her to take pictures of them. That's what it seems from like what I saw on her Instagram, her photography Instagram. And she started taking pictures of couples, a few here and there. Then she started doing weddings, and like now she does couples and weddings, and she charges good amounts of money. And that's after maybe three or 4 years of doing it. And it doesn't look like she works in her office job anymore. Like, and she didn't get some professional college education on photography or anything like that. She didn't do that. And it's just because she started that. She just had an interest in a camera, and it slowly built to now it's her full-time thing. And that's an amazing thing, man. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that literally, no matter what, anybody can do that type of thing. You just have to figure out what the hell it is that you're interested in, no matter how abstract it may be, and just get to it.
I think a lot of times too, people are like waiting I need to get this new piece of equipment. I can't quite afford that yet, but you know, when I get the new iPhone, when I get the latest iPhone 12, that's when I'll start recording, you know, these things in my kitchen that I think are useful or whatever. Just if that's the dialogue, then just, you know, smash that shit back and you know, just anytime that you have that negative kind of feedback loop that prevents you from starting something, that's your cue to get going. That's your cue to put one foot in front of the other and just get something started.
Yeah. And I mean, since we're kind of on that topic of like filming and photography and cameras and stuff, I get asked all the time, what's a good camera? You know, like, is this good or is that good? And my answer is always the same. As long as it's not discontinued, that's kind of one way I can always make sure that it is like a fairly new camera. But basically any camera that you can buy in a store today is leaps and bounds better than anything that I ever started with. Dude, cameras today are so cheap and they're so damn good. Like, anything will work.
A good way to answer that would be like, what do you have now?
Yeah.
And they tell you, I have the blah, 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 blah. And you don't really care. But your point is, let's like use that.
That's already there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I said something like that to somebody who had a training question a while back. Like, you know, hey, should I use the elliptical or should I use the treadmill or should I use?
Right.
Yeah. Just which one do you like? Hey, for my arm, should I do, you know, preacher curl, reverse curl, incline curl? What's your favorite? You know, how do I get going with my lifting routine again? Well, I don't know. What are 3 to 5 exercises that you really love? Like, what's your favorite body part to train? Start there. You know, no, but you got to train legs, and you got to have these brutal leg days. And I've seen the videos of Ben Pekulski and these guys, and you got to get in the gym and you got to really throw down, and you got to, like, if you're not getting after it and getting like that pain, and you're not able to walk for 5 days, that's the only way that you can train.
Yeah.
It's like, no, man, you don't need to. That's cool if you want to do some of that, but that's not the only way to get in there and train. Just get yourself started, get moving.
Yeah, get started. And then, you know, like you said, you just mentioned like the iPhone. It's like buying more shit, especially that expensive, is just going to be another step further away from you doing it all the time. Because then what? I would do my YouTube full time, but I have to, you know, get paid every day. It's like, well, get rid of all your debt and then you can just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
That's really hard. But, you know, like, don't just add to the hurdle.
Exactly. Like we were just talking about creating barriers yesterday.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like, first off, phone cameras are amazing these days.
They really are.
So, like,
they're unreal.
I'm not gonna lie, that 12 is fucking dope.
Right? You have one. I don't have one, but like, yeah, those.
I'm selling the 10.
Yeah, and even the 10 camera is like
phenomenal
if you're trying to make YouTube videos or something. Like it's actually like very inexpensive to get yourself into that. And if you didn't want to use a phone camera, there are pretty inexpensive handheld $200, you know, whatever cameras that are, again, easy. And there are $30, $40 mics that you can attach to it. You know, there aren't really that many things that are stopping you other than yourself.
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
I will. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's podcast. Thank you, everybody, on the live stream. It's cool seeing you guys go back and forth. Again, make sure you guys hit up drinklmnt.com/powerproject. You'll get a free 8-sample recharge pack. That's what it's called. Sorry, I kind of messed that up in the beginning. But all you have to do is pay the $5 shipping, and you guys can try all of the different flavors from our favorite electrolyte company. The stuff's amazing. We wouldn't steer you guys in the wrong direction, because we've been talking about them well before they were a sponsor of the podcast.
I got the chocolate in my coffee right here.
Yeah, I have the orange salt. I think that's just what it's called. Yeah, I have that right here. Stuff's no joke. You guys really got to check it out. Again, drinklmnt.com/powerproject. Please make sure you're following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on Twitter. My Instagram is at I am Andrew Z. And also the newsletter. We were talking about emails earlier. Please make sure you guys check the link in the description for the Power Project newsletter. Got some really cool things getting ready to fire out for our second issue, which is going to be dropping in a couple days. So make sure you get up on that. Also Twitter at I am Andrew Z if you guys want to chat there. Nsima, where are you at?
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on Twitter. Mark.
At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you guys later.